During this season of Lent, we are looking at O Me of Little Faith as our theme for the season. It's based on the book by the same title by Jason Boyett. It helps us take a look at our own faith and our growth in faith, but it also helps us see our doubts and how our doubts don't make God love us any less, or don't make God love us any more. They just are. It made me think about when I was a teenager with my parents. Now, I know that many of us struggled through these teenage years in our lives. And I came to realize as a teenager, especially as I began my teenage years, 13, 14, 15, that my parents were really unreasonable. I had doubts about their thoughts. I had doubts about the direction they were taking me. I really came to realize that I apparently had the worst parents in the world because they didn't know what it meant to be a teenager, right? They just didn't know. I mean, if I asked to go somewhere, and I would use the argument, well, everybody's doing it, they would come back with something silly like, well, if everybody was jumping off the Golden Gate Bridge, would you do that too? I mean, what doubts does that put into a teenager's mind? But then I came to realize when I got into my 20s that my parents maybe had smartened up a bit. I don't know when the change happened, quite honestly. I don't know if it was when I was 19 or 20, 21, but their brains just opened up. It was amazing to me that they were completely different people than they were when I was a teenager. In fact, I remember my first teaching job. I would often call my parents on Sunday when I was home from church eating alone because I wanted to have someone with me for my meal. And so I would call them and ask them to just chat with me while I was eating. It was at that time that I came to realize that my parents loved me. Even during my teenage years when I was a handful, believe me, I perfected the eye roll or the stomping out of the house, shutting the door, all of those things. My parents never stopped loving me. Now, they may not have liked me all the time, but they never stopped loving me. In fact, they didn't love me any more because of my teenage years, but they didn't love me any less either. That's how God is with us. God loves us. God is love. No, there's nothing that can stop God from loving us. Even the questions that we ask, even the eye rolls that we have, even when we doubt God and what God is doing, God doesn't love us any less. It's important for us to question our faith because as we question, then God can grow. You see, my parents grew. Okay. In reality, I'm the one that grew. But my parents grew in my mind because I grew as a daughter. God grows in our minds as our faith grows. God grows in our hearts as our faith broadens into something bigger that we could ever imagine. It is our doubts, it is our questioning that takes God out of the box and allows this infinite God to be free. It is in our thoughts, in our prayers, in our actions that we believe in a God who is grace-filled, that we believe in a God that amidst our doubts, amidst our being rebels, we believe in a God who loves us regardless. And that's the message that we share with the world. It's okay. It's okay to question. It's okay to have doubts. It's okay to listen. May we allow God to fill our hearts, minds, and souls, not necessarily with answers, but with faith that will move mountains.